Hello ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies, and let's not forget the in-betweeners. My name's Dan, this is the PAP Reports. Today is Friday, 21st of February 2020. And today we're starting with two very simple, very quick reports that, to be fair, have very little information with them because, as far as I can tell, there's been no reports in any media. However, there are misconduct hearing reports. Firstly, we have former PC Peter Bolton from the Metropolitan Police Force. By the way, these two reports are both from the Met. Former PC Peter Bolton answered an allegation that his conduct amounted to a breach of the standards of professional behaviour in respect of discreditable conduct. On July the 15th, 2019, former PC Bolton was subject to a with cause drugs test. Former PC Bolton provided a urine sample which was subsequently screened, and the test indicated the presence of cocaine. It was alleged that in doing so, PC Bolton breached the standards of professional behaviour in respect of discreditable conduct. The allegation was proven as gross misconduct, and former PC Bolton had no further action taken against him because no doubt his union rep had told him to leave before he got the sack. And so that's what he did. Next up, we have Special Constable Mohammed El Mahalawi. The misconduct hearing of Special Constable Mohammed El Mahalawi, based in the South West Command Unit, was held on Monday the 17th of February and concluded on Wednesday the 19th. Having considered all of the evidence, the misconduct hearing chairperson found that the officer had committed gross misconduct in relation to allegations under the professional standards of discreditable conduct, although there's no information on what he did. It was the chair's finding that El Mahalawi is to be dismissed without notice. Now, I don't necessarily think that's very fair. In fact, I think the Met are being a bit racist there. Guy with English name is allowed to leave with no consequences after being off his tits at work, and a guy with a non-English name is kept employed so they can sack him. Where was the union rep advising Mohammed to leave before he got the boot? I've literally not been able to find any other information on those two misconduct hearing reports other than what you've just heard in the very sparse misconduct hearing reports from the Met's very own website. Now for an update to a previous video, PAP Reports 5th of February, where I reported that 6 police staff were facing a misconduct hearing over the death of Leon Briggs while in Luton police detention back in 2013. The hearing was scheduled to last 4 weeks and was due to start on the 7th of February. Now, although none of the officers were accused of causing or contributing to Mr. Briggs' death after the investigation was carried out by the IOPC, the hearing was instead intended to investigate allegations that the 6 police staff, who were all suspended, breached standards of professional responsibility. Well, this morning, Friday, 21st of February, the hearing at White Boston into the standards of the police involved with 39-year-old Mr. Briggs' death was dismissed. Now get this, the 6 police staff were suspended since the incident in 2013 and have remained on paid suspension for that entire time, costing taxpayers more than £1 million. Now, I used to work for the Freemasons. Yeah, get your jokes out of the way first. And I had a medical condition that saw me in hospital for just a few months over 18 years ago. After 2 months, they told me they couldn't hold my job open any longer. But these cretins get a 7-year paid holiday. You couldn't make this shit up. Jim Mallon, chairman of Bedfordshire Police Federation, said, "This has been a long, arduous, stressful and draining process for all concerned. Justice delayed is justice denied. The outcome of the hearing, while welcome, comes as no surprise and means our colleagues can finally get on with their careers and lives, having been investigated over this incident for approaching 7 years." I wonder how Mr. Briggs' family are doing getting on with their lives. Police officers are out there every day fulfilling a difficult and challenging role on behalf of society. Officers have no issue with being held accountable for their actions. What? We are the most accountable of public services. What? But how can it be just or justified that following a tragic incident you have to put your lives on hold for so long? 6 colleagues were suspended from duty. for more than 5 years as part of this process. A cloud has unfairly been hanging over them since 2013. This has changed their lives, their family lives, and their careers immeasurably. So not unlike the family of Mr. Briggs then. The IOPC has serious questions to answer about their handling of the case and the competency, or frankly lack of it, displayed throughout their investigation. At times it has been a shambles. Why has it taken approaching 7 years for us to get to this point? More than £1 million of public money has been spent on these officers while they were suspended. All they wanted to do was be out doing what they loved doing, not to mention the soaring cost of the protracted investigations and legal proceedings and hearings. The public will rightly be outraged at the cost of all this to the taxpayer. It goes without saying that all investigations into the conduct of officers must be fair, timely and transparent. It's a shame you don't feel the same about people that you arrest. The IOPC investigation had numerous failings with regards to the disclosure process. That meant the officers could not be guaranteed a fair hearing. How does it feel now the boot's on the other foot? Once again, this case highlights the incompetent standards of the former Independent Police Complaints Commission. Things must change and they must change fast. And we are pleased that the work of the IPCC, or IOPC, is now firmly under the microscope of the new government and all MPs in Parliament. Enough is enough. Finally and importantly, we must also pay credit to our colleagues for maintaining their professionalism and dignity throughout the extremely stressful process. Bedfordshire Police Federation has been proud to support them from day one. We also thank their legal team for their hard work. Not even an apology there to the family. A spokesperson from the IOPC said, Leon Briggs was 39 and experiencing a mental health crisis when he died in police custody in Luton in November 2013. His family have waited many years for the actions of the police officers involved to be scrutinised in public. The last-minute actions of Bedfordshire Police and the most recent delays meant that his family have been denied that right. Bedfordshire Police's announcement earlier this week that it would offer no evidence to its disciplinary panel means that the hearing had no prospect of proceeding. As a reasonable public authority confronted with these circumstances, we have regrettably and reluctantly agreed to withdraw our directions to Bedfordshire Police. Our decision to withdraw did not end these misconduct proceedings. That was the decision of Bedfordshire Police to offer no evidence to its panel. Well, if they're not offering evidence and you are, then surely you should be able to take them and sort them out. It's what the police do to us. To ensure public confidence in policing, transparency and accountability, we have always been of the view that the evidence should be put before a Bedfordshire Police disciplinary panel. We will continue to work with a coroner to provide any evidence we have to the forthcoming inquest. New legislation which came into effect on the 1st of February means the IOPC will have more control over these cases in the future. Mr. Briggs' family have been campaigning since his death for justice for him and say they want to find out exactly what happened. They say that he was struggling with mental health and should have been safe in the custody of Bedfordshire Police. An inquest into Mr. Briggs' death is scheduled for early next year. So all that was they're just blaming each other and getting nowhere. Pass the buck like you always do. Nice one. Now back over to our friends at South Yorkshire Police. That will be the same force that 3139 Sampson is attached to. And you know I'm not letting people forget about that cretin. Anyway, on Tuesday the 18th of February, just 3 days ago, South Yorkshire Police were called to Long Road in Rotherham to attend the scene of a car crash. Police attended and conducted a search of the area to understand the circumstances surrounding the collision. After the search and investigation, the scene was cleared and the police left. At 8:30 AM the following morning, last Wednesday, police were called again, this time by the ambulance service, who alerted them to the body of a male at the scene. Now in the reports it says close to the scene. I don't know how close, but no doubt it will come out that he was outside of the search area. An investigation is underway to establish whether the pedestrian's death was linked to the crash involving a black Citroen Picasso. South Yorkshire police have referred themselves to the IOPC. The IOPC have got to be pissed at about the amount of referrals this lot make. The man was a 74-year-old and he was pronounced dead at the scene. His family is said to be supported by specially trained officers. No doubt the kind who are specially trained to talk their way out of trouble. Avon and Somerset PC Keith James is looking at dismissal following allegedly giving false evidence in court following a road rage incident in February 2018 involving PC James and another driver, a Mr. Lee. James told Mr. Lee that he would be reporting him for driving offences. In fact, it appears that PC James contacted the DVLA and reported Mr. Lee in a vindictive attempt to one-up him. Mr. Lee worked as a driving instructor and said it was vindictive or unnecessary for PC James to report him to the Driver and Vehicle Standards Agency. PC Keith James later allegedly gave evidence in court that Mr. Lee had driven dangerously during the incident in February 2018, when he knew that was not true. A notice for PC James's misconduct hearing says that Mr. Lee had dashcam footage of what happened, but the officer did not view it or take it as evidence. James is accused of breaching the professional standards for honesty and integrity, duty and responsibilities, authority, respect and courtesy, and discreditable conduct. Another full house. His alleged actions are so serious that he could be dismissed from Avon and Somerset Police. PC James will face a misconduct hearing at the Force headquarters in Portishead on February the 25th and 26th. And now for a public safety announcement. On the 17th of February, a 60-year-old man became the victim of an armed car theft after being pulled over by what appeared to be an unmarked police car as he was driving along Upper Beulah Hill, SE19 in London at around 20 to 9 in the evening. The 60-year-old victim came to a stop in his black Range Rover when he mistakenly believed an unmarked police car on blue lights had indicated for him to pull over. The victim got out of his vehicle after one of the suspects introduced himself as a police officer and presented a false warrant card. The suspect then requested that the victim speak with his colleague in the car behind. When the victim approached the vehicle, the man in the driver's seat pointed a gun at him. At this point, the first suspect drove off in the victim's Range Rover, and the suspect's vehicle also left the scene. Both vehicles headed in the direction of Upper Beulah Hill. It is said at this stage to be being treated as an isolated incident, which I think is just damage control. Clearly this will become the norm, if not just for these particular criminals, but for others. Detective Constable Joanne Austin from the Met's South Area Command Unit said, "This was a frightening experience for the victim, who pulled over in good faith, believing he was assisting police. The suspect's car is described as dark coloured and is possibly a Vauxhall Astra. A blue flashing light was used to give the police car an air of authenticity, and the men confidently pretended to be police officers. This was a pre-planned and sinisterly well executed offence, and we need to locate these offenders as soon as possible. We have the description of one of the suspects, who is thought to be white, aged between 25 and 30 and around 5'10 to 5'11 tall. He is of slim build, clean shaven, and was wearing a black hooded top with the hood worn off his head. He also spoke with a local South East London accent." Now, there is some confusion between people as to the rules around stopping for an unmarked vehicle. Section 163 of the Road Traffic Act says, "A person driving a mechanically propelled vehicle on a road must stop the vehicle on being required to do so by a constable in uniform or a traffic officer." It doesn't say if the traffic officer should be in uniform, however. "A person riding a cycle on a road must stop the cycle on being required to do so by a constable in uniform or a traffic officer. If a person fails to comply with this section, he is guilty of an offence." Some people seem to believe that the blues, the lights on an unmarked police vehicle, are akin to a constable being in uniform. Personally, I find that absolutely ridiculous. And this incident just goes to show why. Personally, I would suggest using your head and not being afraid of the police. Being afraid of the outcome of failing to stop is why practically everyone will stop for an unmarked vehicle flashing its lights. However, it is of my opinion that during the day, when you can see the vehicle, see the person inside, and you can safely stay in your vehicle and let them approach you in a well-lit place, while you stay in your locked vehicle with the window only open enough to be able to hear them, then you're in a position to pull over and see what they want safely. If, however, it's night time, you're somewhere secluded or otherwise do not feel comfortable stopping for an unmarked vehicle, then I suggest you don't. Instead, call 999 while you're driving to tell them that you're being followed by a vehicle with blues and you're not comfortable stopping as it's dark or you're in a secluded place. Let them know that you're driving to the nearest lit up area where there are people and you will pull over. But as you don't know if they are the police or not, you're making a report. Now, you can use your mobile phone whilst driving your vehicle to call 999 in response to a genuine emergency where it is unsafe or impractical to stop. In a situation such as this, I would argue it would be unsafe and impractical to stop under these circumstances. A half-decent defence solicitor could easily argue that you continued driving while being aware of the vehicle until you found a safe place and where you were able to pull over, and your call to 999 would confirm that. However, remember, even if you are sure they're the police, keep your door locked and only open your window enough to hear the dribble that they've got to tell you. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Please like, share, comment and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.